Thanks, Ben.
No problem. So as always with Message Center, this is one of the things that what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to highlight the big important things that, come across. There's a lots of stuff going on. As always, make sure you're going out to the Message Center in general and checking those things that are specific for your organization, because every Message Center is based off your tenant, and those updates usually are going to be relevant to what you have going on inside your tenant. So make sure that you guys are recognizing that and following appropriately. So let's talk about some of the things that are going to be hitting here shortly or already out. And in fact, there's a couple of them that are already available currently. So the first thing is we're going to start off in OneDrive and SharePoint. And I'm not sure if you guys knew, but there is this ability for you to be able to set up annotation as you're screen sharing, right? So if I'm screen sharing a desktop, or whatever I'm doing from a sharing screen side of things, I'm able to do an annotation as the organizer or presenter. Well, updates coming up here shortly, right? Late May, March to April, mid-April. Anybody attending can request to be able to go in and then annotate, right? So you can collaborate on that, whatever you're working on as a group, and then being able to start that process of annotating in the meeting itself, right? So keep that in mind. Sorry, this is more about SharePoint and OneDrive. There's another annotation coming up here too that basically then you can actually edit what's going on inside OneDrive or SharePoint PDFs. There's another one that, a couple annotation things happening here in this session. So this one is really about, hey, you got an annotation, you want to be able to do annotations inside your PDFs, you can do that. Editing some other pieces too, like actually editing the PDF, erasing, there's a new eraser type that's coming up. Just make sure, guys, you let your users notify what's going on, and that should be changing shortly. OneDrive, there's going to be a little bit of a change. There's a naming convention for your folder shortcut. So in OneDrive, you have this ability to be able to do a shortcut to another place, right? Somebody else's OneDrive. Maybe it's a SharePoint site that you utilize a document library or a folder from. You can add those shortcuts to your OneDrive. Well, what's happening is that then the information is getting updated. So it's actually going to say where that place happens to be, right? It's somebody's OneDrive, happens to be from maybe it's a Teams channel, a SharePoint folder, those types of things. It's going to get updated to reflect that. And that's going to be any of your new ones that you're going to be, setting up, right? It's not going to retrofit back to the old ones, but it's going to be anything new, right? So keep that in mind on this change. Again, mid-March to mid-April is when this is going to happen, and make sure your users know about this one because this could confuse them initially. Additionally, we have some big updates happening for your Microsoft lists and the forms associated with those lists. This is happening here, already started coming out in February, and it's going to be in late March. So some of you may already have these. So basically, there's a couple things that are going to get updated. Number one, you're going to get a new creation experience, right? So if you take a look on this screen over here, back over here, this is that new window you're going to see as you're going in and creating a new list, right? And that form associated to it. Additionally, you're going to be able to add more conditional branching, as you see down here on this screenshot here. Show and hide questions based off of previous answers. So easier to be able to do that. You can add a logo into that form, right? You can add additional field types are going to be supported in that form as well. Attachments, image, location, and lookup are all going to be then supported within this new form field. Excuse me. Also, notification for responses to this particular form, and then you can schedule when this form is available. So very similar to, the Microsoft Forms side of things, right? So lists are now getting a lot of those features that you see on that side. If you guys have a lot of people utilizing lists in your organizations, make sure that they know that this is happening behind the scenes. Good question on that previous one, Pete. Will we still be able to rename those shortcuts after they're created? Absolutely, I believe that's going to be the case. Yeah, and Tim, I agree. It doesn't necessarily allow you to do that, but it's sometimes, a lot of times with some of these updates, it has to draw a line in the sand and then go forward. That would be I know that would be a lot of work to be able to make it go retrofit. So based on creation, and that's when it's making that change. All right. One thing that you may be seeing here shortly, mid-March to early April, this is a public preview and worldwide in April, is that as you're in your Microsoft 365 apps and you're working on a document, right? And it's not necessarily saved, or maybe you downloaded it and it hasn't been necessarily added to that OneDrive, through that known folder location. Right, if you're familiar with that OneDrive known folder location, those are specific places as admins we have the ability to say, okay, so if it's in downloads or if on desktop, then upload it into OneDrive. And as an admin, I can set that. But what happens if that was never set? So there is going to be this notification coming in to be able to say, hey, you sure you want to maybe back this thing up into OneDrive to take advantage of all of these really great features, right? Copilot and collaboration and increased security and backup security, all those things that you normally would think about with OneDrive. This then, when you obviously upload it in OneDrive, then it becomes available. Understand though, if your administrators or if you as an administrator have set up so that you're not utilizing, right, known folder move, then this message will not show. However, if that was never ever configured, then you're going to start seeing this from an end user side of things. So just keep in mind that's coming up here in early April into May for worldwide. All right, on the Viva Connections side, there's a new news feature in Microsoft Teams. So if you're in Connections app inside Teams, starting here in March, mid-March, so the end of this year is targeted, and then March into late April, this is specifically, again, for the Viva Connection app inside Teams, right? So what's going to happen is there used to be or will be currently a feed tab inside Connections. And that's going to get replaced with news. And it's going to be that SharePoint news information that's coming in. Understand, though, additionally, if you have Copilot license, you're going to get a summary, the ability to have a summary of all those news items so that you don't have to go through every single one of them and determine which ones that are the ones you want to read. You can literally then look at the summary down here, and that will give you all the necessary information of everything that's been happening within your SharePoint news area. Right? The news is all, just keep in mind, news is always based off of activity and permissions that you have. So if you don't have permission for it from a news side of things, you're not going to see it. So keep that in mind as you're utilizing these features. All right, so a few Teams focused things that I want to make sure you guys understand. So customized location of notifications for Teams for the web. This is following the one that just came out not too long ago for our desktop application that allows you to be able to change where that pop-up, if you have pop-ups going on, that happens for Teams, right? So top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. Those are your options when it comes to this. And this is coming here mid-April to late April. So this is basically the web version, really mirroring what we have on the desktop version at this point too. Again, this is another way I let your end users know about this because they may care. I know once that came out on the desktop, I was already moving it to a different location because I'm always doing stuff in my bottom right-hand corner. I don't want to see that. I want to see it over on my left. All right, so there's going to be a little bit of a change here in your Teams in channels, right? So in channels, you have that Files tab. Files tab is going to be Shared tab as opposed to Files. And this is starting here targeted mid-April to late April, worldwide mid-May to mid-June. That gives us just a little bit of a different feel, right? So it's shared content versus files. And what you'll be able to do is you're going to have some different filters that are going to be automatically added into that. So I can view content. And the nice thing about it is it's not just about documents, links, those types of things that are added. I mean, specifically, but it could also include links of content that you have in there, right? So if the default file is, or the document is not uploaded in there and shared, then it's just a link to someplace else. You'll also see those things, right? So keep that in mind as you're working with different content, different information. And make sure that you're updating your end user so they know what's going on there. All right, another Teams feature is coming, and I'm not sure if you've seen this with chats, but the capability of being able to do a video clip inside a Teams channel, and this is just mirroring that capability from a chat side of things, so that you can go in there and record that video clip. The nice thing about it, and I've seen this internally here with some of the people I've worked with, I may have leaders that want to be able to, do a video message about maybe an upcoming event or upcoming initiatives that we have. So with that, then they can quickly make that video, record it, and then post it right there with other information they may want to be able to do. So it's underneath your Actions and Apps button, and then it's very similar to if you've done anything from a recording in chat. All right, so on the other side, specifically on Copilot, and again, this is one feature that you will have to have the Copilot license. So for the organizations that are out there, will be able to take advantage of this facilitator agent, right? So the whole thing, Copilot, now we have agents that are coming out, and they're going to be able to make things a lot easier, especially from a meeting side of things. We're talking about meeting notes and chats that you can then take that information and run with it. The nice thing about this facilitator agent is you can add that into your meetings, and it will take notes and summarize in real time the information that is being talked about in that particular meeting. Additionally, basically you can co-author some of these notes too, right? So you can make changes as needed. This is enabled by default unless your admins have made changes, like they blocked all of the apps and they have to add that app in individually. In there, one of the things that they call out is, in this message post, they do call out a feature enhancement that all AI generated notes will eventually be going into an editable canvas, right? So that whole canvas idea that we can do in Copilot, that's going to come in here so that we can do a lot more with it after the fact, right? So, but you do need that Copilot license in order to be able to continue on with that. Jason, I believe it is just the Copilot piece, just because it is in real time, where the Teams Premium does that recap capability after the fact. But this would be generated during, literally while their meeting's happening. I've seen this. I have that in a couple of my meetings that I've been in. It literally does the work as you're sitting there having that meeting, which is kind of nice. So I believe it's going to be more the Copilot side of things and not the Teams Premium side. All right. This is what I was talking about. That first section is in Teams, in meetings, right? So anybody attending that meeting will be able to request to do a collaborative annotation session. That basically allows you to be able to, if I'm on, looking at a web page and we're talking about maybe how do we want to adjust this, and then we get everybody in there, an attendee can then start and request this collaborative session, right? But the presenters, whoever is a presenter role, will have to say yes, right? So who's ever presenting at that point, then will have to say yes, accept or deny, and then everybody would in that session will be able to go in there and then start marking things up, circling and showing, hey, I think we need to do this and this and this. Understand, anonymous attendees will not be able to start this process, but they will be able to do it after it's been accepted and the session has started. So that annotation session has started. All right, a few quick announcements as far as some things that are going on. SharePoint quick steps, automated common tasks that are going to be coming here shortly. It's going to be in the automation menu. Understand things like sending an approval request, execute a flow, or even a column value based off of another column value. It'll be able to do these quick steps. Do note this for anybody who are utilizing dynamic distribution groups. And if you have a lot of them, and when I mean a lot, I mean a maximum of 3,000. That's a change, right? So that's actually bringing down that limit. I don't remember what it was in the past, but just keep in mind, if it's a maximum of 3,000, that's all you, right now, that's all you get. And think about how you want to use those dynamic distribution groups. There is another admin piece I want to make sure you guys are seeing. This is specifically to whiteboard in Teams meetings. So if you have a whiteboard in a Teams channel, right, that piece, if it's a meeting or if it's a regular whiteboard that's in there, in the past it was whoever initiated it. Now it's actually going to be stored inside that SharePoint site associated to that Teams channel. So a little bit of a change there. Outside of that, just keep in mind some of these things that are happening. I do want to point out there's some admin action. There was an admin action that was just added recently, and that's going to be happening. We have a couple things that are happening here at the end of March that I want to point out to you. The biggest one is this one right here down on the bottom is the Power Apps. So if you are utilizing Power Apps within your organization, make sure that you're adjusting for in the firewall allow list this new URL and subdomains. Make sure that that is added in there so that you don't have any disruption of services as things are progressing. And that was added into the Office 365 URL and IP address list just real recently. Otherwise, the other pieces, Teams app, Teams live event is still going strong. You can still utilize that as far as one of your event scenarios if you want to use that. These old search usage reports will retire. My feed is going to retire here in April. And of course, our friend that we hate to love or love to hate, InfoPath 2013 is still going away here in July 14th, 2026.
I think we ought to have a save the date on that, Don, for a party.
Yeah, party, yes. I think it's a great idea.
Awesome. Thank you for all the updates. Super
Absolutely.
helpful.